TNA No Surrender 2007. I'm going to blow your mind, everybody. You ready? 2007 TNA, but with clean finishes sometimes. I mean, this is insane. You know what else is insane? That all the titles are wrapped up into one storyline. Again. Fuck. But this time it's kind of good. It's different a little bit, but not really. I don't know. Kurt Angle's on this show a lot. So is Pac-Man Jones. I mean, he's only in one match, but that's still too much. We got a lot of good matches to talk about. We also got Abyss being pulled to hell by Mil Muertes. So that's also a thing. There's a lot to get into, so we might as well just get right to it. Sit right there. It's the Apron Bump Podcast.
Yeah. It's the hardest. Talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what heart is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock this. Let's get started. Yeah.
What's up, everybody? What the heck is up, everybody? Welcome to the Apron Bump Podcast. I, of course, am your host, the hardest part of the ring, Kyle. How we doing today, everybody? We got a little TNA on our hands, ladies and gents. Total nonstop action, no surrender. 2007. We are in September of 07, and we are approaching Bound for Glory, the WrestleMania of TNA at this point. We got a lot of good stuff happening. To be honest, Kurt Angle is ever present, but that's never a bad thing. We got Kurt versus Abyss in the main event. For the world title, we got Kurt versus Jay Lethal for the X Division title. And we got Kurt and Sting versus Pac-Man Jones and Ron the Truth Killings for the tag team titles. You might be hearing that and you might be like, hey, hardest part of the ring, you said Kurt was in 3 different title matches. You must have made a mistake. No, I did not. Hypothetical listener. It is a very wacky show, but I think it kind of works in a weird way. At least most of it does. There's more Black Rain and Chris Harris stuff going on. The James Storm and Rhino feud is continuing with all the alcoholism elements to it. May or may not be an improvement from last pay-per-view, but we'll talk about it. There's some X Division stuff. There's a tag team gauntlet over the top, fucking into a real match. But this is a very TNA episode, and it's what you hit play for. I'm sure it'd be weird if it wasn't a TNA style show. But it's a good old time talking about it, and it's even more fun considering my guest, Nate from Wrestle Addict Radio, and more specifically, the Brace for Impact podcast. Go check out the Wrestle Addict Network, wherever you listen to podcasts, as well as YouTube and all that good stuff. I'll put all of the information in the description below. Nate does Brace for Impact, which is, as per the title, a TNA retrospective podcast, similar to what you're listening to right now. But he's the expert on TNA specifically, so it was fun having him back on the show. By the way, it's been way too long since I've had Nate on. He was like one of the first guests I ever had on the podcast, so happy to have him back on. And I think we had a splendid time talking some tits and ass wrestling. All of his information will be in the description, so go check him out. He's a good follow on socials, and the podcast is great, and the entire Wrestle Addict Radio network is fantastic. You got the Young Lions perspective, you got Fretzelmania, Kings of Rings, a lot of these people I've had on the podcast, so go check them out. Support these lovely people. And hey, you know what you should also do? Follow me at Apron Bump on all the social medias. Join the Discord if you like TNA. Well, I suggest you go to the link in the description or go to apronbump.com, go to the episodes tab and select TNA. And that'll bring you to all of the TNA shows that I've covered chronologically on the program. Started from their very first 3-hour pay-per-view, Victory Road 2004, and I've covered every single pay-per-view up until now, late 07. We're almost 3 years into the TNA timeline. So there's a lot of content there. I suggest you go binge away if you have not already. It's always a wacky, wacky time talking TNA. So with that, I think that's about it, right? Let's get right to the episode, shall we? TNA No Surrender, 2007, with myself and Nate from Wrestle Addict Radio and the Brace for Impact podcast. Yeah, man. Interesting time in TNA No Surrender 07. I don't know if you got a chance to watch the show again, but you said you pretty much remember the show.
Yeah, I think it was when you showed the first image of the show, and it was literally like, oh yeah, it was that show. Now I remember.
It's an interesting one. I guess first we're in late 07 here, approaching Bound for Glory. Interesting time for TNA with some big news dropping later in the show. Where does this era of TNA stand for you? Because I mean, you're the expert on the tits and ass wrestling. You probably have like certain time periods you like, dislike. Where does like late 07 fall for you?
Late 07 is actually starting to get into a really good spot, I would say.
Yeah.
I do think that when I started watching it in 06, it was one of those things where it's like just getting the, feet in the water, kind of just seeing what it's like. And then 07 comes around and it's like, okay, things are starting to shape up a bit because Bound for Glory has some pretty good historic matches, actually. And this kind of sets the stage for that, which some shows like that do that well. And obviously you have shows that you have to go in between this show and the big show that you have going on. And, fast forward to current day WWE, it's a little bit iffy when you think about that. But
Yeah.
I will say this, when we get to talking about the tag match, there is actually one funny story that actually happened in the build up to Bound for Glory that I want to talk about. It's so funny, honestly. But
You talking about the gauntlet or the opening match?
The opening tag team match, I should say.
I see. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess really all we got to do to set the scene here is, talk about Kurt Angle and how he's every champion coming into this show. And that's pretty much the thread throughout the show, is that Kurt has 3 separate title defenses in one night, which I guess I kind of like how they went about it, but ultimately, like, all of the titles are held up in one storyline for the 3rd pay-per-view in a row at this point. Where do you stick? Because we're coming off of Kurt versus Joe for winner take all, and then the pay-per-view before that was Kurt and Joe versus the Team 3D. Again, winner take all situation. Where do you stand on how they treated the titles at this point?
So as far as the titles at this point, really never really sunk in. I think it is until you're bringing it up now that I'm realizing, oh yeah, they did this kind of thing 3 times in a row, where at least between 1 or 2 people, there are at least all the belts are kind of conglomerated into just one deal.
Yeah.
At this point, I'll say that I like the fact that that's the continuing story here, because of the fact that it is Kurt Angle. I mean, he is Mr. TNA, honestly, other than AJ Styles.
Right.
I liked the fact that he is going to find a way to just build up certain stars. Obviously, there's only so much that you can do with Mr. Waka Waka, but he at least got to work with, Ron Killings, who is still killing it today. And it was just interesting. I think the interesting part of it was the whole tag team title deal about how are they going to have him defend the title?
Right.
Who's his partner going to be? And then it turns out it's going to be in a fatal 4-way, where in some wrestling past, it's like, well, you get to pick your own partner, or you get like this thing, you get this thing. But this time it was just like, oh, we're just going to do it in a fatal 4-way because Kurt Angle doesn't want to pick anybody. And that's how we got Kurt Angle and Sting as tag team champions, which I never thought I'd say.
And I kind of like that. I mean, like you said, it's kind of, they've treated this kind of situation differently over the years. Like recently with Stephanie Vaquer, she was a double champion and they just made her like relinquish one of the titles, which I thought was pretty lame personally. It's like, why give her both titles if you're just going to have her give it? I don't know. It's a whole thing.
Well, they kind of did the same thing with Keith Lee, because he defeated Adam Cole for the NXT title, but instead Keith Lee was just like right away going to give it up right away, so that he has more focus on the NXT title. In that context, I get it, but I can also understand where you're coming from with, with Stephanie. I think she could have literally done like 2 matches for at least a month every night, just putting those titles on the line until putting somebody over.
Well, if there's anybody that could have multiple matches in a night, 3 in this case, and have them all be, well, I don't know if I'd call the first one good per se, but I mean, his performance, I'll say, I mean, he's a machine. We all knew this, but goddamn, I mean, we'll talk more about it as we go through, but we brought it up. Let's just get right into this, man. You brought up, when I sent you the show, the YouTube link, the thumbnail, of course, is Team Pac-Man, which is comprised of Pac-Man, Adam Pac-Man Jones, and Ron the Truth Killings. And they are challenging for the tag team titles, the champions, Kurt Angle and Sting. Like you mentioned, it was just Kurt Angle that had both the tag team titles, and then they had a fatal 4-way on Impact to see who would be the other champion, basically. So now we have a situation where Kurt Angle and Sting are teaming up to basically take on R-Truth in a handicap match, which is crazy on paper. But he found a way to make out with it, you know?
Yeah. So for some of your fans, I may not understand why that is.
Please.
Basically, with I think he was playing for the Browns at this point, I believe was the situation. I think he was playing for the Browns. Pac-Man was playing for the Browns, and they basically had him on a suspension. So TNA had the bright idea, well, since he's not doing anything with football, let's bring him in to do some wrestling. Well, they said, okay, we'll bring him in to do your show. He just can't wrestle, unfortunately. And that was the thing that definitely handicapped the whole thing. So it's like, okay, we got this quote unquote big name, but we literally can't do anything with him. So why don't we just have him in a tag match where he does absolutely nothing? Because that makes sense. This is probably the weakest match in the entire show, honestly. And trust me, there's another match on here where I'm like, well, this is just as lame. But this is the one where literally it's just like, oh, well, Pac-Man got attacked. He got attacked again. Who is it? Could it be Ron Killings? Could it be somebody else? Could it be a hate crime? Who the hell is it? I reached a point where it's like, you know what? I don't even care. I don't know who this guy is. I really do not even care.
Did they ever actually like finish that story on who attacked Pac-Man?
Maybe they did, and I just I have it on the outer reaches of my mind. I remember watching like every single Impact from when I do my shows. I try to watch like all the Impact shows so that way I at least know how the buildup is kind of working.
Right.
That one I don't remember actually having like any kind of definitive deals. So it's just one of those things where it's probably just a lost beyond the recollection or the knowledge of our mind. It's such an IQ level answer that we're never going to figure out.
Maybe it was Black Rain.
You know what? Honestly, that would be the one thing that would make his career, honestly. Because up to this point, he's done jack.
So, more on Black Rain later. Don't you worry, folks. But yeah, you brought up the no contact rule for Pac-Man, which is like, all right, like I get it. You bring this guy in. He's like a notorious guy. He's going to bring eyes on the product theoretically, I guess. Like there's a part of me that understands it. But the thing that blew my mind, and I don't remember this at all, is that on Hard Justice, the pay-per-view before this, they brought that up. Like in canon, in kayfabe, they were like, oh, you're not allowed to touch anybody. You're not allowed to, do any offense or, get hit by anybody. It's like, all right. So it's like one thing if that's like in the background, like backstage, you can kind of work around it and make a storyline out of it. But to just come out and say it, it's like, why do I have any investment in any of these matches? It was and now we have R-Truth versus Kurt Angle and Sting in a handicap match, effectively.
Because, bro, we got to make it real, bro. It's just got to be the way it is, bro. It makes it better than the competition, bro. I think I just answered your question.
You know what? It was a silly question, actually. It was such an easy answer. If I just thought about it for 2 seconds, I would have come up with that. But shout out to No Surrender, by the way. I think we made it to literally the last second of this show until there was a Fire Russo chant, which is impressive. So, big ups. Big ups to No Surrender 07. Big ups. But yeah, so to call this a match would be kind of generous. It was more of a segment. R-Truth kind of takes turns wrestling both Kurt and Sting on the ring. Pac-Man won't tag in, even though Truth keeps trying to tag him in, but Pac-Man's like, no, you got him, dog. And but Pac-Man's doing what he can to kind of be involved. Like he's like running away from Kurt to distract him, and he's like running through the ring. So they're getting a little creative with it, but ultimately he doesn't really do anything until the end. But the star of the show is here, Karen Angle.
Oh God.
Ooh, she comes out.
The future Karen Jarrett.
Yeah, it's really. I always have to like think in my mind, what's her last name at this point? And Karen's here obviously to support her at the time husband, but Sting doesn't want her here. He thinks that she's gonna be just a distraction or she's gonna get in the way, whatever it is. So Karen responds by slapping him, slaps the shit out of this poor man. And then Sting does the way they did it. It was so good. It looks like he backhanded her, but he's really just like pointing to the ramp to tell her to go away. Even when I was watching this, I was like, did he just pip slap Karen Angle? So out of character for Sting. but Karen did not get slapped, but she like pretends that she did to get Kurt's sympathy. So Kurt tags out, checks on Karen. Karen's like, hey, Sting slapped the shit out of me. And then Kurt reacts as any husband would, gets in the ring. Angle slams his partner, lays out Sting in the middle of the ring. Pac-Man Jones pins Sting. One more time. Football player Adam Pac-Man Jones pins the icon Sting for a championship. New champions, Team Pac-Man. Thoughts?
Yeah, this was like you said, this was a thing that happened. But I will say that one funny thing that actually came out of this, and I will recommend that if you can find this segment, I recommend watching it in its entirety. It's like a show long story that they do with this, where literally Sting is trying to go after Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle actually goes to Sting's son's football game. and they play it off like it's live, and honestly there's a part of me that thinks there's no way this is live, but then there's a point where it's like, oh shit, this is live. Oh my God, this is insane. But basically all throughout the deal is that Sting keeps looking for Kurt Angle, and Kurt just keeps bringing up the fact is like, you slapped my wife, just know that. It's just so funny. There's a point where he talks to like a random cheerleader. It's like, oh, do you know Sting's son? It's like, oh yeah, he's a nice guy. He's really good. He's like, yeah, well, his father slapped my wife. Just, and then the segment literally ends with him confronting his son, and his son's just like, this has nothing to do with me. And Kurt just goes, this has everything to do with you. Your father slapped my wife. And the kid just throws the car door right at Kurt Angle, knocking him down, and says, my dad didn't touch your wife, and you know it. And then the classic Kurt Angle, get back here. He just grabs his son and just almost looks like he's just trying to chokehold him. And then that's how it kind of ends. I can't do it justice. If you guys haven't seen it, definitely go find the Impact episode where this segment is in all of its glory, because there are so many. Those are just some of like the highlights. There's so much more into that.
Right.
It makes it so hilarious to where it's like, this is one of the big matches coming up for Bound for Glory
main event.
And I'm already invested in it because of this. But yes, to boomerang effect back, like I said, this was just a thing. Like you said, couldn't even call this a match. This was a segment where Ron Killings literally is quote unquote killing himself, while
Nice.
Adam Pac-Man Jones is just like, oh, I'm here. Hi. Oh, tag. Oh, I get to pin. I get to pin Sting. Cool.
And their name is Team Pac-Man. As a team, they couldn't think of anything like Truth Pack or like Ron Pack, or like there's something like more than just Team Pac-Man.
Well, hey, at least next show, it's Truth and Consequences. So.
Oh, is that next? Oh, it is next month, isn't it? Wow. Man, I cannot wait for Bound for Glory. Jesus.
It actually is a really good show. That was one where I was just like, oh, this is surprisingly really, really good.
Right. And that's when women's wrestling was invented, right?
That's where knockouts were invented for wrestling for TNA.
Silly me. So you're here to keep me on the straight and narrow, and I appreciate it. Just saying craziness over here. So Kurt has one match down and also one title down, but will he retain his other two titles? We'll just have to find out. But first, we got a drunk, or is he? We got Rhino versus James Storm.
Oh, jeez, I forgot this was a thing until I saw the highlight video. I'm like, oh, yeah.
It's good stuff, right?
These guys were feuding, and Rhino almost killed him.
So I don't know what you remember about this feud. It hasn't been stellar. They're playing on Rhino's like previous, alcohol problems, and with James Storm and the beer, I guess it's like a natural kind of story to get to. I feel like, I don't know, because Hard Justice, they had a match where Storm was like, he had like a bar set out and like bottles of liquor and kegs everywhere. And he was like trying to entice Rhino, and Rhino succumbed to it. He just starts like he takes a keg and literally like just starts chugging it. And then he's like drunk and he misses a gore and then loses. It's a really silly way to go about it, but I think this match kind of redeems it in a way. I don't know. What are your thoughts, I guess, on the story and this whole hullabaloo?
It's rough when you have those kind of personal issues brought up into TV, because we've seen it in the past. Dear Lord, we've seen it with Scott Hall. We saw it with Hawk back in the day, and both of them, there were no ways of just literally
common denominator, by the way. But,
right. I will say, like, unlike with the whole Hawk thing, where somehow he survived a like 40-foot fall from that Titantron or whatever that was.
Amazing.
At least with that, at least Vince Russo was just like, okay, bro, we're not going down that route, bro. But it is just one of those things where it's like, I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to add a little bit more spice to the deal, but I feel like there's better ways of doing it. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm starting to get to the point where it's like when they try to entice personal issues, bring in family drama, that kind of deal, where it's just like, we don't need this kind of stuff in here, because it's just not the place, honestly, for it. I get there are some times where it works. I will say this, that there's a certain King of the Mountain and Olympic gold medalist where I really feel like this was the most uncomfortable times where they tried to make it work, and it went on for about 4 pay-per-views too long, I would say. But yeah, I think that even though this whole thing with Rhino is kind of rough, with the finish and the conclusion that we get from this matchup, it does make it feel like, okay, at least we're going in a positive direction here, where it's literally, yes, he has his demons, but he's kind of overcoming them. And basically this second demon, you could say, of James Storm coming in and trying to be like, hey man, you should drink more, be like me, I'm a great big Western boy. He's Tennessee. I was going to call him a Texan. It's like, no, he's not Texan, he's a Tennessee cowboy. There's a complete difference. How much? About 2,000 miles worth of a difference.
Yeah, they're start with T's, same thing.
Right. But yeah, that's just my initial thoughts on that. The match itself, I thought, was done pretty well, actually. Like you said, it does feel like this is one of those matches where you had to have like a certain person win this match, and the right person, I think, won in the end.
Yeah, for sure. If they literally just did this at the last pay-per-view instead of what they did, I think I would have a much better view of this storyline. But
gotta get them ratings, bro.
I guess and like, I mean, I do like admire the attempt at creating a story, even though maybe it's misguided in some ways. Like, at least they're like trying shit, but I don't know. But yeah, like this match was good. The crowd was super into this match, so maybe it was resonating with the crowd. So maybe who are we to say? My one gripe, though, unless I missed it, this is not a no disqualification match, correct?
I actually just looked at the Wikipedia deal and I'm like, oh wait, this was a single. Wait, what?
According to Cage Match, it's not.
According to Wikipedia, it's not either. So it's like, oh, wait, what? Then they just used referee discretion. Okay, I mean, sure. Makes as much sense as everything else that happened in 2007.
You know what? It is. Yeah, I was about to say it is par for the course for TNA. And there is a no DQ match later in the show that has no like whatever. I'm not gonna get to that yet. We're not gonna blow our load yet. But yeah, no, it was. Yeah, there's chairs getting involved. Rhino stacks. He by the way grabs chairs from the crowd. I don't know if these people were significant or if they were just like random crowd members like handing them chairs. Like.
Yeah, probably just one of those fan participation deals. One of the reasons why Rhino was so over for as long as he was.
Right. Yeah, I guess. The ECW tie-in is there, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
He goes to pile drive James Storm off the second rope, but Storm fights out, thank God. hits a cutter off the second rope onto the chairs for a 2 count. Big TNA chants at this point. So the crowd's into it. I mean, by the way, the match started really hot. Rhino had a promo before the match. He was like, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm sober. Gore. You know, his whole thing. And then he sprints out to the ring. They brawl in the crowd for a while. Like I said, chairs get brought into the equation. And then Storm brings out a table in which, because I didn't remember how this match ended, but as this was happening, I typed, surely he won't be gored through this later. And as any Rhino match with the table.
Oh my dear sweet God. If only you knew how TNA truly works.
And surely eventually he does. I mean, there's a lot of good near falls here. Rhino with a TKO, Storm with a superplex. Like, it was pretty back and forth and it flowed really well. Ultimately, though, Storm goes for the super kick. Rhino ducks it and gores James Storm through the table, set up in the corner, and gets the 1, 2, 3. So finally he gets redemption. And I don't know. Is this the end of this feud? I don't remember.
I was just about to say, I mean, they did their Elevation X already.
Yeah, I was thinking, no, they didn't do their Elevation X yet. So maybe
really?
That's it. Is that Bound for Glory?
No. Oh, that's right. That's right.
That was Rhino and AJ earlier this year.
Oh shit! I thought that. Oh wow! I thought.
Do they just like revisit this feud like months down the line? Maybe.
I guess so. I thought that. Yeah, I thought that Elevation X was with James Storm was this year, because I was thinking like this had to have been the year that they introduced that beer drinking championship, but no, I guess not.
You know, I could look this up, but I'd rather just speculate. Honestly,
you know what? That's what we're gonna do with this. We're just gonna speculate on this whole thing right now. Yeah, we're just going to assume that eventually they're going to have their Elevation X.
Ooh, is it perhaps on the first 2-hour Impact?
No. They would not be that crazy. But I do remember what Rhino's doing at Bound for Glory. He's in a Monsters Ball match with. Of
course he is.
Oh my God! Listen to this lineup. I remember as clear as day now, because I remember literally. There's a segment where Abyss is talking to Raven. Yes, he makes a comeback. And Abyss just goes, "You, me, Monsters Ball, and bring Black Rain with you." I'm like, oh. And it gets better, because in addition to those three, that's where Rhino comes in, because why not? We need to fill everybody up in the pool that is starting to get cold.
Yeah, it's like every Monsters Ball match in this era is like the same, like 5 guys just kind of like switched a little bit.
Yeah, but I mean, some of them are fun. I mean, last year's Bound for Glory was fun.
No, they're usually pretty okay, at least.
Yeah, but oh wait, no, I think you are right. I think that Elevation X is next year. Now that I'm realizing it, because now I'm starting to remember. It's like, wait, last year would have been where Sting won the title. Then they had the transition. Yep, nope, that makes sense now. Now it makes more sense. Now everything's starting to click here.
Well, it's all flowing back to you.
Yeah, I'd much rather go with those days of TNA than 2010 TNA, where I have to deal with the Nasty Boys. Yay!
Oh no, dude.
Wait till you get to that point. Then you're just gonna be like, what are you doing? And how drunk is Vince Russo at this point?
Is this EV 2.0 or something separate?
Oh God, that's right. They're coming up pretty quick here, because I just did Against All Odds 2010. So now it's going to be Destination X, and I think I want to say Hardcore Justice is just around the corner. I think it's after Slammiversary, so still got a little bit of time. But I can think of one beacon of light, and that's Rob Van Dam's coming in. So I'm going to be thankful for that.
GOAT theme song, right?
One of a kind, yes. His TNA one, that's one where I actually had to listen back to it. I'm just kind of like, oh wow, this is worse than I remember being.
It's hideous. He had like bad merch too. Like, he just had an awful. I mean, he won the title right away, but other than that, awful run.
Hey, we can't disrespect the former TNA and X Division champion Rob Van Dam.
I can actually, and I'm going to. So
eventually.
Well, actually, before we can't ignore the post match of this Rhino James Storm deal.
Oh,
here.
you're right. You're right.
You might need to fill me in on what the situation is here, because the Rhino gets the win. 1, 2, 3. He then goes out to the ring or under the ring, grabs a keg of beer, one would assume, and he like sticks it like in James Storm's trunks. Is the idea that he's like spraying beer up his ass?
I don't know which Jackass number this was. Oh, this would have been after Jackass 2, so Jackass 3 was not a thing yet. So
I mean, butt chugging's a normal thing, like we all do.
Yeah. Honestly, I would have laughed if they would have just done a deal where he just shoves a hose up the shorts and James Storm just goes like, ah, oh. And then Rhino just scores him again.
He becomes addicted to beer up his ass. Turns the tables on him, huh? That's how you do it.
Like every promo, sorry about your damn. Just starts farting.
He just has it next to him like an enema, just always. But like it seemed like he couldn't get the keg to work, and it like with Jackie Moore, who's with James Storm, she like comes to like stop them, but they're like stalling. It seems like, and I think the idea is that what Rhino was gonna like spray the beer in her face, but nothing happened with the beers, so Rhino just tossed her in the ring and gored the shit out of her. And I'm wondering if that was an ad lib because they couldn't get the beer to work.
I think that's probably what it was. And honestly, I think that was better than what we concocted of a beer enema for James Storm. So
yeah, arguably, yeah. It wouldn't have been the worst post-match attack, I guess, on this show, though. No. But not there yet. Before that, we got old Kurt Angle backstage with JB. He's pissed. Just lost his tag team titles, according to Kurt, because Sting cost him the titles. Kevin Nash, who's back there, Dr. Nash, says that, hey, Sting didn't slap her. But then Karen's also back there, and Karen's like, yeah, he did. And Kurt's like, okay, I'll believe her.
Because I believe my wife.
I mean, who wouldn't, right? And then Sting gets in there, grabs Kurt by the throat, and he's like, this isn't over, Kurt, et cetera, et cetera. And then Jim Cornette, like all these, what a cast of characters, by the way, just in this, like, TNA is so crazy. They have this, like, stacked roster of just legends. We got Sting, Kurt, Nash, Jim Cornette's there to break this up. And Jim Cornette, because Karen's still, like, feigning this injury or whatever. She's borderline feral at this point. And Cornette throws out Karen. She tells Karen to leave. He doesn't want her getting involved in any of his other matches tonight. And so she is no longer on this show. Well, what do you think of Karen's kind of spot here, like as a part of Kurt's like whole shtick?
Other than the fact that Kurt Angle brings it up when he's about to beat Sting's son, yes. I could care less looking back on it now, because it's one of those things where it's like, I will say this, that in a realm where we have in wrestling people who are like borderline go away, like you got the Vicky Guerreros, you got the Baron Corbins, you got just all this slew of people that you can name that are just literally like, I immediately when I see them, I hit the mute button on my TV,
right,
or I just change the channel. Karen is definitely like, I think top 3, I would say, on that, because
yeah.
I'm sorry, it right here, this is almost like mid annoyance of Karen. Once we get into later years, we're going to see peak annoyance of Karen, and it's just like,
oh, she's only like 3 weeks into her run too, which is crazy.
That is true. That is true. Well, I think maybe a little bit longer, because I remember they had her on the build-up to Hard Justice, but I get the point you're making.
And as a heel, she is. Yeah.
Honestly, when she was just kind of like this meek, lonely kind of woman, where she stands up to Kurt and is like, okay, it's not too bad.
Our marriage is over. Good stuff.
I mean, to be fair, Hunter did do it better when he said this. He said it's 70, but hey, you know what? A for effort for trying. So to be fair,
man, there really is only like 3 storylines in wrestling, aren't there? Just repeated, have one after the other.
Where they just repeat the same lines, just insert different person here, basically.
Right. Yeah, I mean, scorned wife, using an animal to eat their opponent. Like, it's just all the same storylines, one after the other. But again, we keep teasing Black Rain, but we're not quite there yet. Not quite there yet.
No, we at least got a good match. Pure. Well, I would say a good matchup. Pure.
I would say this was surprisingly good. In fact, it took a while to kick in for me, but I think it ended up being pretty damn good. We got Robert Roode, accompanied by Miss Brooks, versus Kaz, otherwise known as Frankie Kazarian for those uncultured. First of all, as somebody who's watching these chronologically, this feels like the first time in like a year that Robert Roode hasn't been facing Eric Young. So already it's a plus, right? Already it's something a little fresh.
Oh, God.
Tarred and feathered. Yeah, you like that, right? Yeah.
I think it was funny when Ms. Brooks, Tracy Brooks, got tarred and feathered, but it was one of those things where I think Eric Young is just one of those guys where back in the day, you threw something at him and he would just somehow make it work. Even if it was the stupidest thing, you're just like, there's no way you can make anything entertaining. Here, wear a turkey suit and go have a match with Robert Roode. Okay.
Right.
And it's one of those things where people are just like, oh my God, Eric Young in a turkey suit. What the hell? It's like, okay, you know what? This is good comedy gold by TNA. More entertaining than the other product, that's for sure.
At this point, yeah, that's probably right. But we got Robert Roode versus Kaz. The story here is that Robert has been, kind of just emotionally abusing Tracy Brooks here, and then Kaz is here as her knight in shining armor, which, a little foreshadowing into their future. But Kaz basically on Impact, something happened, and Kaz was like, hey, Roode, you just don't know how to treat a woman. And then he kisses her, and then Brooks swoons, and she slips on her own juices, and it's a whole thing. But now we're here.
You know what? I remember watching that, and it was one of those things where I'm like, I didn't remember the juices until you brought that up. So.
Oh, the juices were a focal point. Don't you worry. And by the way, Kaz has just recently broken out of Raven's cult. There's a lot going on here. That's
right. I forgot about the fact that, he, I think that, he was doing stuff for a while, and then he joined this cult, and then he feuded with Raven, and then, now he's starting to get, this is going to be when he starts getting his first big time singles run, I think. Because I think this is where he's going to be, a few months, he's going to have that match with Christian, so.
Yeah, he has a pretty good match with Kurt at some point. I don't know if that's Impact or what, but that's one of those things that sticks in my head. But yeah, in my head, because I know he gets a good push at this point, so it's interesting to kind of like see the seeds of that. And I think he just keeps having good match after good match, so it makes sense. But Roode's no slouch in his own right. So, but yeah, again, like I said, this is a pretty good match. I don't know, what'd you think about it?
I liked it. I like the fact that you got two guys who are trying to break it out in the business and have been definitely known for either like their tag team runs or their faction runs, are now breaking out on their own, and they're doing pretty good. So happy days for them. I think here it is one of those things where you could question whether or not Roode needed the victory more than Kaz, but I think right now we already know the direction that they're going to be going. So I think that in this set of circumstances, I think Roode was the right choice.
Yeah, no, I would agree. And a clean win of all things too, which I was very surprised by, which is kind of a theme of the show. There's a lot of clean, like uncharacteristically like an amount of clean wins on this show, which is nice change of pace, I would say.
It's one of those things I think it is still missing in wrestling, is that yes, you can have the heels kind of cheat to win, but at the same time, they need to have those moments where they actually show some sort of deal where it's like, okay, when he's overwhelmed, they go the cheat route. But when they know they're good, they don't need to cheat at all.
Right. Yeah. And at some point, you got to have them have some sort of credibility to be a threat. So, but Roode does try cheating at some point. He brings out the old brass knucks, but Kaz kicks them out of his hand, out of the ring, and Miss Brooks goes and grabs them, and she's conflicted because she's aligned. She's the CEO of Roode Incorporated, or whatever the fuck it's called. Is that what it's called? Root Incorporated?
Yes, I believe that's what it was called.
I don't want to just, get the facts wrong here. Serious stuff.
Right.
But she also has eyes for Kaz. So it's like, which way do I go? So she decides to not choose. And she just throws the Nux under the ring. Like, oh, I don't know where they went. They evaporated, Barbara. I don't know. I didn't see them. I think a crowd member stole them. Who knows? And then Rude's pissed. Like, oh, well, you had one job to do. And he's like using her as a meat shield throughout the entire match. And Kaz busts out a Deadeye, which caught me off guard. Looked brutal.
Yeah, he was one of the first guys I remember now that really brought that out. And every now and then we just break it out and be like, oh, shit, he can do like a reverse tombstone. Love it.
Yeah, it was he goes for his flux capacitor Spanish fly, but Rude fights out of it. But Kaz eventually goes for a flying leg drop. Rude gets out of the way and then capitalizes with the payoff fisherman suplex for the 1-2-3. So again, pretty clean win here. Robert Roode looks good. I mean, he's been just fiddle fucking with Eric Young for God knows how long at this point. So to see him get a prominent win, I think was the right move, like you mentioned.
Yeah, I think that also, like you said, it's one of those things where when you go into like the comedy deal for so long, you do need that one match that reminds people like, oh shit, yeah, no, this guy can go. And I think that this was the match that he definitely needed.
Yeah, no, for sure. And Kaz, he'll end up fine ultimately. Still there, by the way, isn't he? Isn't he still in TNA?
Yeah, he actually had a main event with Joe Hendry and Ethan Page at the at Rebellion show. He didn't win, but
well, one of these days. I mean, it's been 18 years?
Yeah, roughly. But,
jeez,
number 19 is the way to go.
As long as he gets it before 20, then at that point, it's just sad. But hey, we got Black Machismo backstage.
Oh, yeah, baby.
No surrender, yeah. Is really capturing the essence of Randy Savage back here. And then little storyline continuity here. We got Kevin Nash walks in on his interview because Jay Lethal is going to be challenging Kurt Angle for the X Division title. Kevin Nash is boys with Kurt. So Nash walks in. He's like, hey, I respect you. He shakes his hand. But Nash is like, hey, I made you and I can break you. So I'm going to need you to take a dive in this match. I need you to lay down for Kurt. And what does Jay Lethal say? Something about Jimmy Snuka diving off the cage or some shit. So he hasn't really. I don't think he was really picking up what Kevin was putting down. And they never really allude to it after that, which I thought that was going to be like a thing. But it was a thing that happened, though, with Kevin Nash. He tried. Kevin Nash tried. You can't say he doesn't try. So
right. I mean, Paparazzi Productions all the way. But yeah, no, I think that little extra deal there by Kevin Nash definitely adds a little layer to the matchup. It is kind of one of those things like, would he actually do that? But it is kind of one of those things where he was just like, oh, hey, lay down for Kurt. And then we get the match. And it's like, I don't think he was going to lay down for Kurt, in all honesty. And not unless Kurt Angle was going to get like some duct tape and force him down.
Yeah, you would think there wasn't even like a tease of it. It was just like a normal match. It's like Kurt didn't even know that Nash asked him to lay down. Poor communication is what I'll say between those two gentlemen. But so Kurt Angle's here to defend his let me say this again. X Division champion Kurt Angle here to defend his X Division title against Jay Lethal,
who is an X Division wrestler.
It's not about weight limits.
It's about no limits. Have we mentioned X Division yet? I don't think we have yet. So.
Yeah, X Division. It should have been Ultimate X. Just fuck it. Why not? You know what I'm saying?
Oh man, I feel like Kurt would have to go in for a couple more neck surgeries if that was the case. But regardless of how we feel about the match, stipulation quality of this match. My God, I think for me, this was my match of the night because this was so damn good.
Dude, yeah. I don't know if I can disagree with you. I mean,
because you have Kurt Angle, who's the seasoned veteran, taking on a young and up-and-coming guy like Jay Lethal, who really needed, I think, that one match that was going to solidify him as that, like, hey, this kid is going places. And I think this was just the first step for him. Now, some people might say that he needs a few more steps. That's fine. But him having a match with Kurt Angle already is literally being like, hey, we're trusting this kid to put on a great show with one of our big guys. And by God, do they.
Dude, yeah, I mean, because Jay Lethal's still like relatively new in the company, and the Black Machismo deal is only a few months old at this point. So this, like you mentioned, it says a lot about where they see Jay Lethal, where he's going to progress in the future. And like I said, you see these two on paper, you know it's going to be a good match, and it was. Story obviously is Kurt is at this point he's several levels above where Jay Lethal is. So it's almost like a foregone conclusion that he's going to, defend his X Division title. But Lethal keeps getting these like really close roll-ups, small packages. Other fault, the Lethal combination and then the elbow for a 2 count. Like the crowd's really locked into this. I think the drama around all of this, like all the near falls, like on both of their parts, were really good. And the finish was just beautiful. Angle slam countered into a roll-up from Jay Lethal, which Angle then counters into an ankle lock, which then Jay Lethal then counters into a victory roll for the 1, 2, 3. Jay Lethal, Black Machismo, pins Kurt Angle to win the X Division title. So, I mean, and commentary is putting this over really well. How it's like the biggest upset in TNA history, which I don't know, that may or may not be true.
I have a hard time finding one that's just as big as that. So I think even to this day, that's still the biggest upset. I think there might be some people might have some others, but right off the top of my head, this is the one that when I think of like, what are some like the best like up and coming upsets or ones where like as soon as the 1, 2, 3 happened, you felt like this person was a made person. This is definitely like one of those major moments.
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure. Yeah, especially considering where Lethal is at this point. Like I mentioned, he's still pretty fresh. So, but this just sent him to the moon, I would say. And now we have an X Division guy with the X Division title. So now we can start doing things within the X Division for the title. So, good stuff all around. Match of the night, I might agree. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the best part about this is that, yes, there's probably some people that were saying like, oh, this match is so predictable. This is good. I think that they did their job of definitely keeping people in that suspense of being like, maybe Kurt is going to win. I mean, Lethal's going to definitely win. No, maybe Kurt is going to win. But then is he going to drop the title on Impact, or is he going to do that deal? Because there is always that moment of just being like, this is the way they're going. But are they?
If there's like a 1% like doubt, like that's all you need to be in. Because I was watching this, I was like, I'm pretty sure Jay Lethal beats him here, but I'm not like 100% sure. So I was like locked in. I was like, oh shit, is he gonna get him there? Is he gonna get him there? So it worked. I thought it worked. Locker room. Well, I say the locker room empties, but it's just Shark Boy, Petey Williams, and Sanjay Dutt. But
hey. Put some mad respect to Shark Boy and the other
two. Props to him taking some time away from the deep blue sea to come out and show love to his boy. But I don't know where Jarrell Clark and what are other X Division guys?
Norman Smiley. A1 was an X Division wrestler at one point.
Right. A1. Oh man.
He was in that one battle royal, and then they also had what was the chick's name? Selena.
The gut check lady, right?
Yeah. God,
Sorelda?
Oh, Sorelda. That's who she was.
Yeah. Wow, you're just bringing up names I haven't thought about in a very long time. Only you. Nobody else is going to make an A1 reference other than you, so I appreciate that.
A1 is no longer number 1. Now he's just A4. but at least it's better than A-Town Down. So,
well, I'll tell you what's worse than that.
A-Town Down Under?
Hell yeah, okay, damn. Fucking got me. But also, Black Rain, who's in the bowels of the arena. One would assume.
Oh, God.
No. We got to take this very serious. It's a Black Rain.
You're right.
Dustin Rhodes, the alter ego of Dustin Rhodes. He's backstage with his Arctic Fox, Misty. That is not a drug innuendo, ladies and gentlemen. That is it is a rat that Black Rain is calling his Arctic Fox.
I was just about to say, props to you for keeping a straight face for as long as you could.
Dude, it's part of me still. I this presentation like is almost good. Like it's almost there. Like I think it's really menacing. And I think Dustin Rhodes like has the capability of making this good. I just don't think 2007 Dustin Rhodes is the one for this. Maybe.
Yeah. No.
But we got a no DQ match, allegedly, between Chris Harris.
I mean, at this point, we don't really know.
I mean, sure, who knows? I literally think they may have gotten like the stipulation switched on the whiteboard or some shit, and people were confused as to what rules were assigned to what match because there. We'll get into it. Wildcat Chris Harris taking on Black Rain.
Man, you talk about a match where it's like, who cares? I'm sorry, but Chris Harris is one of those guys that I have not felt any kind of like deal where it's like, oh, I want to see this guy do great things. He's just kind of like, he's there. I mean, I guess the best thing he's done in wrestling was Braden Walker, and then you of course got Wish Goldust here. You got Wish Goldust here, Black Rain, which I can make that joke because Dustin has even said on many occasions that this is probably the worst gimmick of his entire career.
Yeah, it's not good.
And that's including 7 in WCW.
It's the thing is I'm still not like totally sure what the beef is between these two guys, like because they were AMW and Dustin Rhodes teamed together before Dustin left TNA like in early 05 I think it was. And now Dustin's back and now he wants to beat up Chris Harris for what reason? They still haven't really explained why. I don't know. It's just
I think they're going off of hey, it's wrestling. Who cares?
Yeah, that's really, bro. Yeah, that is one of those situations.
The ultimate bro.
So it's a match that happens. I mean, Harris, it's a hot start. Like Black Rain comes out with his rat. It's like in a cage. It's a pretty sick looking cage, by the way. It's a pretty badass looking rat cage. If I did, call a spade a spade. It's a nice rat cage. Puts it down by the ramp somewhere, and then Chris Harris from the top rope dives on the Black Rain, and then they brawl on the outside for a bit. I guess they get back in the ring. Black Rain cuts him off, and then he goes and grabs his weapon. Do you remember what the weapon's called there, Nathan?
I really wish I had an ounce of care in the world to remember that name. I really don't. It's like some like Arctic Spike or some shit like that. I don't know.
That might be better. No, so it's what? It's like a staff with a spike on the end of it, I guess, right? And he calls it Darkness Falls.
Yeah, Arctic Spike is the better one. Is the better name.
It makes a lot more sense, I feel like. But the ref stops him, which part of me is like, I guess that makes sense. You don't want people to be murdered in the ring, but also it's no disqualification. So like,
The only way that this could have been possibly worse is if they basically did an early 2019 Hell in the Cell finish where he tries to go for the spike and the ref just calls for the bell.
Yeah, it's something. It's something. But is it no Harris? I was about to say, is this a disqualification finish? That would be something if it was a DQ finish and a no DQ match.
Of course.
But no, Harris gets a random small package out of nowhere and gets the win.
At least there's a finish for this one, so at least it gets a thumbs up for that above Hell in a Cell 2019.
I guess. So Harris gets the win, but he continues the attack because, Black Reign brutalized him at the last pay-per-view. He left him bloody. It's a very personal issue. It's a heated issue there, Nate. So he continues the attack, wraps his handcuffs around his fist, punches Black Reign, busts him open. Now the reign of black is reigning or something. I don't know. Then Chris Harris then handcuffs Black Reign to the ring post on the outside. And commentary makes it a point to emphasize that it's Black Reign's handcuffs, not Chris Harris's handcuffs. I don't know why Black Reign has handcuffs. Doesn't seem to align with his gimmick.
Because why the fuck not at this point? Just get some BDSM shit in there. Why not?
But the reason that it's important that it's Black Reign's handcuffs is because Black Reign has the keys to his cuffs, because of course he does. So he gets cuffed to the ring post, and then he uncuffs himself with the key that he has, low blows Chris Harris, and then, takes the chair that Harris was going to use on Black Reign, and Reign hits Harris with it in the back. And then, do you remember what happens next?
I wish that your people could just see the look on my face of literally just being like the utter pain that I have to relive of this actually being a thing that happened in TNA. Reminded that Black Reign was something, and that he had a feud with Wildcat Chris Harris, which I could care so much nothing to. But please, Kyle, what happened? Please, it's got to be something good. So it's already going by so well right now. What could possibly make this better?
So Black Reign goes over to the rat cage and grabs his Arctic fox, Misty.
Of course he does.
Grabs his rat because Harris is laid out on the floor. So Black Reign grabs his rat and then puts it in his face. Kinda. Like he kind of like puts it on Harris's chest, and then nothing's really happening. So Black Reign grabs the rat and tickles Harris's face with it, and then he pulls it away, and then it's done.
The only way I think that gimmick would have been able to work was if he does that to his opponents. Like there's just like a bunch of rubber rats that just fall from the sky and land on the crowd. Hey, you laugh, but it's one of those things that I feel like it would have worked had they just gone to a Spirit of Halloween and just bought all the plastic rats that they could. And then, like I said, just puts one rat on his opponent. Then there's a bunch of rats that just fall from the heavens. Girls are just screaming. Guys are like, oh, sweet, I got a rat that I could take home and show my girlfriend. And she'll probably break up with me after about a month of doing this. But,
I say this with 100% seriousness. If you said that backstage and Vince Russo heard you, he would have made that happen. 100%.
It's a better idea than what he had throughout the majority of the year. So,
see, I thought, and I don't know how they would have gimmicked to this, but I thought they were going to do the old metal bucket on his chest. And then I don't know if you heat it up and the rat has nowhere else to go but through the person, so he has to eat his way through the person to get out. I thought they were gonna at least allude to that or do something, but he literally it's like what Jake Roberts would do with Damien, but it looks so much dumber with a rat than it does with a snake.
Yeah, at least Damien's a better actor than Misty. So
yeah, Misty doesn't work for me, brother.
Misty didn't work really for anybody. But once you failed at being a gym leader, all you can go is downhill and go to a Vince Russo wrestling show. What can you expect?
I guess so.
Thank you for everybody that got that Pokemon reference.
I assumed it was Pokemon, but I wasn't really. I'm sure somebody loved it. Somebody loved it out there. Is this what killed Chris Harris in TNA?
No, I don't think that this feud hurt him, but it is one of those feuds where it was just you really can't work with everybody, can you? We need a specific person to kind of do it. Because his feud with Christian Cage was pretty good, and the match was decent. It was just once we got to the finish that was where maybe we're having a little bit of trouble here. But I mean, you have to remember, this guy also came off of an amazing feud with James Storm.
Yeah.
Earlier this year. Yeah, it was earlier this year. I remember watching that Texas Death Match. It was fucking amazing. It was brutal. It was everything that it needed to be, and it was definitely the best way to blow off. But yeah, it is really sad to see that when it comes down to it, both James Storm and Chris Harris are peak here. Storm stock would go up. Chris Harris got a little bit, and then he kind of started going down. So it does suck to really see that, but I don't think he's just connecting with people. I think that's just the main problem. He was just kind of I hate saying that he's the Marty Jannetty of the group, but he was just kind of there as just being there. Like, you think, oh, we want to push this guy, but James Storm is the one who basically turned out to be the Dave Bautista of Evolution, being like, oh, hey, I'm just not really doing too much, but people are loving me anyway. So
right.
might as well
James
push
Storm.
me.
Yeah, like James Storm, he ultimately would find himself back in a tag team anyways, which, like, I mean, for the better. Like, Beer Money was incredible. I don't know, I guess neither guy really was able to connect, like you said, but I don't know, man. It's also like the time in TNA, you got so many big stars coming in. Like, already you got Kurt, Christian, you got like Scott Steiner somewhere, you got like all these stars, you got Booker T about to come in. And then you got your like even like the homegrown guys that are more maybe exciting, like AJ Styles and Abyss. So I think maybe they just got lost in the shuffle, and it was just, if unfortunately, it was unbearable because like it was WWE guy after WWE guy at a certain point. So it was just tough for both of them. But who knows? But speaking of Christian, we got Christian backstage with his coalition. And he emphasizes here, and he's being interviewed by Crystal. Christian emphasizes that he's yet to be pinned in TNA, which I can't believe, but I guess it's true. He wouldn't lie to me. He's been there like, 2 years at this point, I think, right?
Yeah. He's roughly, I think, reaching that 2-year mark.
So that's wild. I guess he's lost like via DQ or whatever, but so this feud with Joe is like the extent of it is that Christian, because Samoa Joe at this point, he's coming out with like fire dancers and all that shit, and Christian beat up a couple of these fire dancers, and now we have a match. That's basically the story here. And I don't know, is the implication that they were like, when Samoa Joe says that they were his family, is it like his family, or is it like his brothers? You know what I mean? Like, is it actually supposed to be his family? What was the deal here, if you remember?
If I'm going to go with kind of like how the Hawaiians and the ancient Somalians kind of play off of it, that, even if somebody's not like, blood related, they're still technically family, I guess you could say. So I'm going to go off of like that kind of logic. So is it supposed to be their actual family? I'm going to say no. But technically, they are his family per se.
Spiritually.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I like that. But that is not yet happening. Before that, we got a 10-team gauntlet over the top rope, but then an actual match for the TNA Tag Team title #1 contendership. Hooey. So we got, because Kurt Angle is in 3 of these matches on the card. So here's where you'll just find everybody else that is on the roster and is not on the card. I'd be interested to see how many teams you could guess are in this match. Like what the teams are.
So I'm not gonna lie, I actually do have the Wikipedia right in front of me. So
okay.
So I will say this, from the highlights, I probably would have been able to guess. So oh dear God. So we've got Christopher Daniels and Elix Skipper, Triple X, who reunited like months ago. Weird storyline kind of deal there. AJ and Tomko. Then we got the VKM, the Voodoo Kin Mafia, not the Vincent K. McMahon whatever.
Right. It's
fucking is.
just a coincidence that they're the same initials.
Right. We also have the LAX, the OGs of Homicide and Hernandez, Team 3D, which, by God, I feel so bad for these guys. They don't have a traditional tag match on here. They're just thrown into this. Sanjay Dutt and Petey Williams, which honestly now I am surprised by that because I thought to myself, oh, Petey Williams, and then there's Eric Young's there. Oh, so Team Canada does get a Bill reunion. No, it's Sanjay Dutt and Petey Williams. Oh.
No, it's Sanjay. Yeah, Sanjay and Petey. Yep.
That's more disappointing actually. But yes, you got serotonin. Oh God, serotonin. I forgot that was the name. Oh
yeah, this faction won't die
for about 2 more months. And that's Eric Young and Shark Boy, which I'm like, okay, it's the comedy duo, sure, why not? I would have preferred a Team Canada reunion, but we can't all have nice things in wrestling. Anyway, then we have the Rock and Rave Infection, Lance Hoyt and Jimmy Rave.
Debut of, well, I guess, re-debut. I guess he was in the Asylum years, but really the Impact Zone debut of Jimmy Rave here.
Oh, man. This is like a who's who of tag teams. And honestly, you could have probably made a case for most. Oh, wait, did I forget the most important tag team? Oh, yes, I did.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
The Motor City Machine Guns. Future WWE Tag Team Champions for 2 weeks.
Yeah. But not WrestleMania bound, these guys. No, and of course, that'd be silly. That'd be crazy.
They will go on to do great stuff for Bound for Glory, but yeah, not for not for WWE, at least not right now. Anyway, this matchup is absolutely insane because the rules are so insane. You have one member of each team starting off against each other, which in this case was Christopher Daniels and AJ Styles. Then another new team member comes in. It could be from their team. It could be from another team. It's basically throwing people in there. And then you get thrown over the top rope, both feet hitting the floor. And then when you have the final two, you have like 2 members or 1 member of one team, then they pair up back with each other. And then they have a tag team match that determines the number 1 contenders. I think I explained that as well as I could.
That's as good as, it's better than I would have explained it. Yeah, it's pretty much the gist of it. It's classic TNA. I'm surprised it wasn't a reverse battle royal, but I guess.
Oh, trust me, sir. Wait until the next show.
Oh man, I knew it's been too long since we've had one of those. We were due. So yeah, pretty for the most part, kind of a stacked lineup here. Starting out with AJ and Daniels, which is always a fun sight. They end up like teaming together for a lot of this match, even though they're not a tag team in this match. I mean, there's not a ton happening. Like it's 20 guys, 1 minute intervals. So not too much of note happening unless there's anything in particular you remember about this match. Any highlights about it?
I don't remember that much about this matchup. Like you said, I think that having Daniels and AJ do a couple tag team moves was fun. Other than that, I'm thinking like no. I just remember how it was just the final 2 teams, and I think that was about it. It's just literally like, okay, go in, get your stuff in. Oh, P. Williams gets a destroyer in, cool. And that's kind of, I don't remember that many people being like, oh, let's hit our tag team move, or oh, hey, let's try this. It's just get in, get your stuff in, and then you have a point where you have to be eliminated. Okay, you got to go out now. You go now, that kind of deal. Just yada yada, chaos, like any kind of battle royal or Royal Rumble really is.
Yeah, that's essentially the deal here. Really, the only thing of note is Jimmy Rave debuting here, the Rock and Rave Infection with Lance Hoyt and Christy Hemme. The final 2 ends up being AJ Styles and Alex Shelley. So they're the final 2 in the ring after the over-the-top rope portion of this match. So now the match pauses. Now we have to awkwardly bring back out each of their partners. So Chris Sabin and Tomko come out. And now we have just a classic tag team match. But Motor City Machine Guns versus Christian's Coalition. Motor City Machine Guns are super over at this point. Big Motor City chants really throughout the entire match. But ultimately, Saban rolls up AJ Styles, and AJ counters this roll up with his own roll up, but he grabs the tights nice and tight and gets the win. So AJ and Tomko, Christian's coalition, are the number one contenders for the tag team titles. So we got AJ Styles and Tyson Tomko versus Pac-Man Jones and R-Truth. Like, what in the hell is this, like, WWE Universe randomizer ass match? But works for me, I guess. I don't know. I don't even remember when Pac-Man loses the titles, but
It's pretty quick. I'll mention that right now.
okay. I was like, it might as well be these guys, but if not, whoever. I mean, it's whatever. But yeah, fine little I mean, there were so many people. Like, it was 20 individual people and 1 minute intervals. So it was, this whole thing was probably like 30 minutes, and most of it felt pretty tedious, even though there's a lot of talent in this. But I don't know. I guess we got from A to B, and it's not the worst battle royal I've seen from TNA. So that's something, right?
That is 100% true. It did what it needed to do. I think that's the best way of putting it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of doing what they need to do, Samoa Joe needs to avenge his brother from his attack by Christian Cage. That's our penultimate match here. We got Samoa Joe versus Christian Cage. They tried with this feud, man. For whatever reason, it didn't really grab me by the cockles. But, you know, I love these two guys together. Their match at Destination X 2007 is among one of my favorite matches from either of these guys. I don't know if this one necessarily lived up to that. Maybe it's because there wasn't really any stakes to this one, but ultimately it was. I like watching these two wrestle each other. What would you think of this one?
I'm in the same boat as you. I think that this one is not their best matchup. I think the post match is probably better than the match itself. But the next matchup that they do have, because ultimately what this match is doing is that it's just setting up for the actual quote unquote matchup, which is happening at Bound for Glory, which sometimes it does not work. But I feel like this is one of those few times where I feel like it does work, because this is not like one of their big shows like a Slammiversary or their Our Bound for Glory or any of like those. Actually, they've only got like two big shows at this point. Where WWE has 4, but
right.
But yeah, this was one of those things where this was one of those matches where it was more about sending a message than it was about getting the win, really.
Yeah, it was almost more like an extended like segment to kind of further a storyline, like you mentioned. Match is pretty good. You know, Christian busts out a top rope reverse DDT, which looked pretty gnarly.
Yeah,
you got the classic Joe, all of the greatest hits from Samoa Joe, the intensity all throughout the match. They even make a callback to their Destination X match, where in that match Christian won by reversing the choke and into a roll up with his feet on the ropes, and he tried that again here, pretty much identical, but this time the ref caught him and knocked him off the ropes. So I like that little callback there. But Christian does get to the ropes eventually, but Joe doesn't let go of that choke and is ultimately DQ'd after Joe shoves the ref off of him. I think even Samoan drops the ref, if I have that correctly.
Sounds right.
I think that's against the code of conduct, I would say.
Yeah. But then we get some of the good things where we have one security guy, boink, another security guy, boink, another security guy, bump. Just literally some full on like classic 2005 Samoa Joe. Literally just going out there and being like, "Oh, you want to come at me? Boop, you're down. Want to come at me? Boop, you're done."
Taking one of the security guys and giving him a full on power bomb is just disrespectful.
God, I remember that was so awesome though.
Like taking the time to set it up and just plant him through the mat. It was just, I mean, Samoa Joe is the greatest.
And somewhere young Wardlow was like, you know what? I'm going to do that one day.
Oh, I'm going to do it 10 times.
To one guy.
Take a very long time to do it. Yeah. But so it's a DQ finish. It is what it is. But like you said, in the post match, Joe takes somebody's shirt. I don't know if it's one of the security guys' shirts or whatever. And he hangs Christian over the top rope with it, choking him out with this shirt. And then who breaks this up? None other than the Blueprint. Matt Morgan.
The DNA of TNA for about a year or two.
The DNA of TNA. Oh, I forgot that was his thing. Yuck. PU. The Blueprint's kind of cool, but the DNA of TNA sucks.
Well, don't you know he sent some of his DNA up to space because then that way they can like clone him or something like that. Let's face it was probably his jizz or something like that, but it could have also been I don't know. I mean, he probably confused the samples together. He was just like, okay, this one's going to the bank and this one's going up to space, and then the bank was just like, this is a urine sample. It's like, oh crap.
Oh my God, what have I done?
There's little Matts and little Megans are just right up in space right now, just ready to be cloned, I guess.
So these aliens up there are going to get a hand on Matt Morgan's jizz, and they're going to create super aliens as a result.
Pretty much. I mean, instead of them being 7 foot tall, they'll be like 10 foot tall people.
And this is how they're going to take over Earth, is because Matt Morgan got his envelope switched up. I mean, you hate to see it.
Right. You hear that, Matt Morgan? You fucked us.
God damn it, Matt Morgan. I like this little lore that we're establishing for Matt Morgan. It really makes it's better than the stuttering shit he was doing with Carlito.
Oh, dude, I forgot about that.
I can never. I'm about to approach that in another timeline of mine, which is unfortunate. But man, oh man. So Matt Morgan gets in there, breaks this up. Him and Joe face off, and you realize how fucking huge Matt Morgan is. He just dwarfs Samoa Joe. And then Joe doesn't even, I mean, he realizes how big Matt Morgan is, so he just flips him off and walks away, which is a hilarious way to end a segment. But it was fine, I guess, right?
It's just a despicable thing that you're doing.
Morgan.
We can have me on Super Bowl Saturday. Is that what it is? I don't know.
I don't even know what it's called. Your shirt's too small, Billy.
Yes. One of the greatest Lex Luger promos of all time.
One of. It's the top 3, and it's not 2 or 3, let me tell you.
Only in this show, right here on Apron Bum, can you get talks of Matt Morgan jizz, alien takeovers, and Lex Luger having one of the greatest promos of all time.
I mean, come on, that's what the people.
Oh, and beer enemas. Can't forget that.
Well, one kind of leads to the other traditionally.
That is 100% true. That is pure facts, my friend.
Can't really have one without the other. So,
and all this before the main event? Are you kidding me?
I mean, this is just the appetizer, just kind of whetting our appetite, so to speak. Man. So we got Kurt Angle backstage. He's pissed. He's still pissed, of course. He's lost another title. Why wouldn't he be pissed? He's still
slapped my wife.
he's already going at it. He's yelling at JP, Sting slapped my wife. And then he's like, that piece of shit, Jay Lethal, which caught me off guard. I was like, geez, Kurt, language. Nash is in here to try to calm down Kurt, and Kurt's like, hey, you go to hell, which didn't seem very effective way to communicate with your buddy, but what am I saying?
And he secretly just says to Kurt, well, I've been in hell in a cell, if you didn't know.
It's the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, they both wrestled Triple H in Hell in the Cell, so it is basically the same thing.
Yeah, you're not wrong. By the way, Kevin Nash is like a big focal point throughout the entire show, and I feel like he has nothing that he does. Matt, he doesn't like get involved in anything. He's just ever present backstage.
He's there for the money. That's why he's there. Even if he's getting like a $10 paycheck just to show up and talk, he's going to take advantage of that because he'll buy off those scratch off tickets and then he'll become a millionaire again.
Classic Diesel. Classic.
I want that in my folklore now. Just literally a picture of Kevin Nash just going to like a 7-Eleven, just trying to buy scratch offs. But
then it cuts to Mike Tenay. in the middle of the ring to make a special announcement. And we cut to a video package. TNA Impact going to 2 hours on October 4th, which I think is like 2 weeks from now or something. Pretty big deal, I would say, right? I mean, were you watching like live at the time as this was happening?
I missed out on. Oh no! I did actually watch that because I remember they were doing 1 hours on Spike TV, and I think there was also a point where they were doing like the late ones too, where it was almost like 11 o'clock, maybe 1 o'clock in the morning for TNA shows. But they were still gaining traction, so for them to get a 2 hour slot is fucking awesome.
I mean, it shows growth, if nothing else. It shows that Spike has faith in them. I guess their ratings are pretty decent enough. So big step. I don't know how many more big steps they got in them, but it's something at this point. I mean, like you said, late 07, it's hot. It's a hot time for TNA. So good on them. Maybe it'll make the Black Rain feuds make more sense. Who knows? We'll see. You think so? Right? You're nodding your head. Yes.
Moving on.
Enthusiastic. For those listening, enthusiastic thumbs ups all around. But boy, howdy, we got our main event, ladies and gentlemen. We got the TNA World Heavyweight Championship on the line. The champion, Kurt Angle, in his third title defense, defending against the monster Abyss.
First of all, can we just talk about how beautiful that TNA belt looks?
It's so good.
It is just such a beautiful eagle belt. It's just absolutely amazing. I do like the one that they have like after this one, not the Jeff Hardy one, but the one that I think Sting, where he wins the title.
Oh, yeah.
He has got one. That one's a good one too. But this one is just the one where I was just literally like, oh, somebody went into the Attitude Era vault and just said, can you make something that looks like this, but maybe slightly better? That's hot take. That's my hot take. I think that it's slightly better than the original, but it is still, they're both still very beautiful in their own rights. So seeing that belt's just absolutely amazing. It'll be defended, ironically enough, in a 7-Eleven one day by one Eric Young. But that's a different story for a different time.
That's a whole different lifetime. We don't talk about that.
But also, this is an Abyss that I have more respect for because in 2010, he is just a whiny little baby and he's wearing flannel. It's just like, what have they done to one of the greatest characters in TNA? This around, he's kind of still talking a bit, but not like as much. I think he's definitely trying to do like small chit chatty kind of promos, that kind of deal, which I'm okay with. It's just when he just starts going into like, oh, Dr. Steve, everything's going to be okay. Everything's like, dude, you are killing your own gimmick at this point. How have you not said no to the bro that said, bro, you know what would really help is if the monster was actually revealed as a person, and it will be so much better. People will relate to you and it will be great. Why didn't he just say, no, F you, Vince Russo, click Doomsday, and then just black hole slams him through a crater into the parking lot. Vince Russo goes to the 7th layer of hell, never to be seen again. Abyss is a conquering hero in all of professional wrestling. Wow, that just got up. I think I had that built up for a while. I'm sorry.
Wow, no, I laughed at first, but the more you kept going, I was like, damn, this actually would have been good. I really wish this all would have happened. But
so many things we could have avoided. I don't know if we would have avoided the Hogan deal, but at least we would have avoided so much more. Hell, if you would have done it then, we probably wouldn't have had the reverse battle royal.
I mean, maybe not. Will we have had what was her, Claire Lynch? Would that still have happened? It's got to be a tie-in somewhere, right?
Somewhere in there. I'm trying to also figure out the best segue to move on from that because what?
No, I think we can really dive in.
God, man, there's gonna. You know what? When we get to the Claire Lynch storyline, I'm having you on my show.
I'm busy that day.
I'm busy that day. Oh, so when you call me up to do you a favor, be on your show, I'm just like,
I
oh
don't know what
yeah,
you're
it's
talking about.
fine. When I ask you, you're like, oh, I don't know, man. I got this going on. I got to figure out world peace and
Storms are coming in. My internet's gonna be knocked out that night. It's a whole thing. Right? I can't control Mother Nature. What do you think I am?
That's you know what
Abyss?
that's 100% true. But anyway, now we're getting back on topic here with the savior of the world, Monster Abyss.
No, this match actually is like pretty good. Kurt Angle, man, like I brought this up earlier, like the fact that he come in here and just have several good matches, like one after the other, whereas there's some people in this card that can have one good match. It's something. I mean, Kurt, not in a good place personally, but I mean, it is just giving us great content. So yeah, take it, I guess.
You know, the crazy thing is that this was Kurt Angle's first opponent when he came to TNA was the Monster Abyss.
Yes.
So now it's kind of like, okay, we're going to take this match and we're going to put it on a bigger stage in the main event. So it's like, oh, this should be fun. And it was fun.
A clean finish. Again, I didn't totally remember how this I knew Kurt won this. I thought we were going to get Judas Messias finally. They've been building this dude up for months at this point, but we still don't officially get him yet. I mean, I guess kinda, maybe. I don't know.
we'll get to him in a minute. So
that's a whole other thing.
Let's talk about this matchup. This good matchup for the most beautiful belt, other than the Attitude Era one.
Yeah, Kurt, of course, targets the leg of Abyss. Some brutal chop blocks. I mean, he's sending Abyss flying with some of these like front, like Mongo-esque chop blocks. Leg submissions all over the place, but Abyss fights back, hits a brutal shock treatment, which, knowing Kurt's neck at this point, I'm like, oh, I like cringed watching it. But so good, kind of back and forth stuff throughout this. Choke slams by Abyss for a 2 count, angle slam by Kurt for 2. There's one point in this match where Kurt hits a moonsault like 3/4 of a way across the ring, which is one of the. First of all, he never hits the moonsault; he always misses. Right. So the fact that he hit it at all is already impressive. But the distance he got on it, I mean, he's just a crazy athlete. He's insane. Kurt goes back to the leg of Abyss and takes Abyss's boot off, which leaves him vulnerable and ultimately is his downfall. Even though Abyss tries to fight back. Black hole slam for a 2 count. You don't see a lot of people kick out of a black hole slam at this point. And Abyss, I guess, goes for a tombstone because he wants to be on the nose cane at this point. But then Kurt Angle counters into an ankle lock on that exposed ankle. It has it locked in for a pretty long time, but Abyss eventually has to tap out, which I was very surprised. We got a clean finish here. Even though it's Kurt's third match, he just beats Abyss clean, which didn't feel correct because Kurt, like, he's such an athlete. He didn't seem like he was worn down from the other matches. So, I don't know. What would you make of Kurt tapping out Abyss, I guess?
Well, it's the second time he's done that because the first time he did that too, which...
Oh, he did do that in this first match, didn't he?
It was one of those things where I was like, oh, do I feel like Abyss do we feel like Abyss got hurt by that? Not really. I mean, we know that he was going to win the title like couple days later, but anyway,
right.
I will say this one thing I did enjoy about this is that it is kind of a callback to the Kurt Angle Eddie Guerrero rematch that they had at SummerSlam, where Kurt Angle did the exact same thing. He tore off Eddie's boot and put him in the ankle lock to beat Eddie Guerrero that one time.
Right.
And so it was kind of one of those things where I was like, oh shit, they're doing this one. Okay, I'm cool with that. And honestly, having somebody literally lock your ankle in an ankle lock while you have no boot to help, keep that pain out. Yeah, no, that'll definitely do. I don't care if you're a monster, if you're like a freaking lizard, if you're anything, if you're an alien, or if you're the 10-foot spawn of Matt Morgan, you're tapping out to a barefooted ankle lock.
I was going to ask, but thank you. You already covered it. Yeah, I mean, like even like as simple as like the boot coming off, like it kind of shows the damage like physically. So it like he had to work to get the tap out. So yeah, I agree. I don't think it really harmed anything, but And I was like, oh man, is that it? Like Kurt just wins clean. That's the end of the show. It is not.
Oh,
Maybe
no,
it should have
it's not,
been.
friend.
Maybe it should have been.
Okay, we're about to have a full circle moment, aren't we?
You almost had it, TNA. You almost had it. James Mitchell. Kurt leaves, whatever. He's champion. Abyss is in the ring. He's distraught. And we hear the voice of James Mitchell, the Sinister Minister. He's him and Abyss, of course, are not on good terms at this point. Mitchell has found himself a new monster, and Mitchell says that he's gonna take Abyss to hell with him. And he says his chariot has arrived, which is a pretty cold line. And the chariot is a knife that punctures the ring mat. I think it's a knife. I don't know if it's like a saw or a scythe or whatever the hell it is.
Could have been a spoon for all we know.
It could have been, but it broke the mat from under the ring. Smoke comes bellowing out of the ring, and a hand reaches out. Where have we seen this before? And pulls Abyss down to hell. Fire Russo. That's like the last thing. It was like the comical timing of the chant. Like you see like the little logo at the bottom and you like know the show's over and it's like one final Russo and then it cuts. It's like, God damn, dude. But
I think I need to just rewatch the ending of that so I can hear that because I want that etched in my mind now.
It's worth it. It's worth it.
To be fair, one of these guys goes to be Mil Muertes, one of the biggest forces in Lucha Underground history.
Yes.
And the other one is Abyss. So
How dare you?
Okay, I will say this, that you would think logically that this was building up to a big match between these two guys at the next show. Surely it's going to be the next show. Ladies and gentlemen, I regret to inform you that it takes a couple shows before they do this one. Before they get back into this. And it's 2 whole matches that they do. Instead of doing like a series of like 3 where you could be like, oh, hey, we can maybe have some kind of program here. No, it's one match that ends weirdly and then they go into a barbed wire massacre match, which I've talked in depth about them. I'm not a fan of them. So it's one of those things where it's like, this happened. Cool. But at least Macias died and we get Mil Muertes, so I'm kind of happy about that. So
yeah. You're telling me TNA had a lot of build up for something that didn't amount for shit? Nah, not my TNA. Not my Vince Russo.
Not my Vince Russo. Not my Vince Russo said only one person in the history of ever. And that's that's the person that he looks in the mirror and he says, "Not my Russo, bro."
No, but ultimately it was a goofy ending. Whatever. It's Undertaker pulling Diesel or Undertaker pulling Kane. We've seen this a ton of times before. It's silly, but whatever. We're pushing the story with. It's really about Abyss and James Mitchell at the end of the day, and we'll get there eventually, folks. It'll be a long time from now, apparently, but we'll get there eventually.
It's a slow burn. Not a good burn, but it's a slow burn. So,
so it's not like it's like people that like wax dripped on them, but it like gets in the wrong spot, right? It like gets in your urethra.
I was gonna say like on the pinky or on the pinky toe or something like that. But
that too, yeah.
But yeah, some people pay for the urethra to get waxed, but yeah, there's some people that find out, oh, I can just do this for free. Oh shit!
I love that. That's just a soundbite I have of you now. I'm gonna bust it out in random episodes. People are like, what the hell?
Oh, urethra waxing. Oh, cool. That's
urethra waxing, man. If that's not a title of an episode, I don't know what is. But
honestly, that should just be like your
the new name of the podcast. I think so.
No.
Oh.
That should be a sponsor thing. Just like this is sponsored by urethra waxing.
Yeah. It's like one of those Joe Rogan things. Yeah, you gotta get a cold plunge. You get my urethra waxed. I mean, you'll get your urethra waxed. Crazy.
Hey, 2 for the price of 1. How can you get better than that, bros?
There is no way.
Urethra waxing. Endorsed by the one and only bro.
Well, if you want your emotional urethra waxed, I suggest you go check out Brace for Impact, Wrestle Addict Radio, or just anything, Nate. The effing great.
What a segue. I love it.
Kind of king of them, actually. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate you, Nate, coming back. It's been too long. Like I mentioned, we'll have to get you back on here sometime soon to cover some, maybe some Judas Messias.
Oh boy. Let's do that. You know what? When you get to a point where we do Ultimate Lucha, talking about Lucha Underground, definitely have me on for that. That would be fun.
One day. But in the meantime, where can everybody find your beautiful face, listen to your beautiful voice, and touch your beautiful innards?
Urethra waxing.
Yeah. Yes.
Side project that I'm working on is urethra waxing, and it's going to be 2027 is when that's going to be available.
I knew I should have trademarked it.
But for those that are interested in checking out myself as well as the rest of the Wrestle Addict Radio family, check me out at RealFNGame on the Instagram, on the Twitter, and well, of course it's the X, but whatever. Also check out @_wrestle for Wrestle Addict Radio, where you can check out not only myself for Brace for Impact, you can also check out the Kings of the Rings podcast, the Young Lions Perspective, and one and only Fretzelmania, which is Fretzel's Pretzels, which I think we're trying to get that trademarked right now. I think that's going to be 2020. Nope, not that one. That's going to be 2050. Yeah, I think 2040, I think is when we're going to get the Pretzels actually trademarked and ready to go. It's a longer process because we have to make sure that these have the perfect right amount of texture for the pretzels, the right amount of salt, but also that slight taste of Canada that you really want to have in them.
Is there like a Canadian pretzel?
I'm sure there is. It's just a matter of finding them and just not having anything illegal put in them. Because I don't know, somebody's gonna basically say like, oh, not everything's legal up here that is in Canada. Like, you're right. They have sweeter maple syrup. I know, but that's not the special Canadian ingredient that we're looking for. But that'll be for another time. So
I typed in Canadian pretzel and I was half expecting like a sex position to pop up.
All it is just a chicken and a dude with a maple leaf.
I'll ask Fretz. I'm sure he has much experience. Once again, thank you to my boy Nathan from Brace for Impact for joining me on this episode. Always a good time with him. We'll not be waiting 4 or 5 years, however long it's fucking. Jesus, has it been 5 years probably since he's been on? That's crazy. But we'll have him on in less time than that, hopefully. But go check him out. Go check out Wrestle Addict Radio, Brace for Impact. All that stuff in the description, as well as all my socials. Go follow me. You know the drill. Sometimes you just gotta moan. I think that's all Daddy has for you guys today. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Love ya, love ya, love ya. Long time. Big ol' smooches all over that belly button of yours. I'm hard.
Yeah. And the hardest, talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what hard is. Standing strong and proud, nothing like this. Let's get it started. It's the hardest, talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what hard is. Standing strong and proud, nothing